Yeah, good morning to everyone, guys. I think let's get started so others will join. So, today, let us try to talk about how are we going to perform integration of IACS with third-party portal application. For example, let us say we have any free web service which is exposed by any third-party application, like in terms of portal API or URL or some other means. Now, the question, how are we going to avail the capabilities of what we have in third party portal application? So, that's going to be the question mark. So, can we use this IACS data integration in order to get integrated with third party portal application and avail whatever facilities that are offered by third party API or service? Yeah. So, that's a requirement. So, how do we do that? So, let us try to understand from the scratch. Yeah. So, the first and foremost thing that we all need to understand to interact with the third party portal application is what we have to understand the format of third party portal application, yeah, and how that format will be understood by Informatica Cloud. That's the second part. If both are going to get matched, then we can get into that format and start understanding that. So the format that will be supported by ISCC is what? WSDL. I'll just talk about that. Web Services Definition Language. Yeah. There are many other forms, but they're all not supported by Informatica Cloud. In that case, whatever Informatica Cloud understands, we need to bind to that. Right? So let us understand WSDL, basic elementary concepts. Then we will see to the practical example and see how we could able to obtain the data from third party application by using what? Informatica Cloud Data Integration Service. Yeah. So let me try to share my desktop. I hope all of you could able to see my desktop, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, Narasimhan.
Yeah. Yeah. So we know the common format that we can use it for both in the sense third party portal application and also Informatica Cloud. I'll just talk about very basic things that are required from WSDL point of view. Yeah? So remember, guys. So if you take any web-based application, right, they follow some standard. Like we have got XSD standard, WSDL standard, DTD standard, XML standard, and so on. Right now, anyway, we are not trying to focus on others. We are trying to focus only on what WSDL. I'll talk about others also later when the context comes in. Yeah. So WSDL can be used 1.1, 1.2, and we have got lots of tutorials in W3 schools, like how one can start making use of WSDL in different kind of business scenarios. Yeah? So if you want more On that you can refer this particular link. That's the first thing. Yeah, that's a source. And the next is what let's understand the definition of this WSDL. So expansion is what? Web services definition language or description language. Both are same, guys. Either description or definition, both are same. So web means portal, service means there are some pre-built facilities that they offer, and this service can be available one from freely available, or second is what? Commercial. Commercial normally they will protect it by using what? Authentication. But what we are going to understand without authentication, in the sense it's a freely available service for learning purpose, that's enough. But how to use it for commercial also, I'll talk about it. Description means definition, like a structure, how this service would be represented so that we can use that definition as a base to pull the facilities offered by this particular service. Yeah. So language means it's a protocol or pre-built instructions that we all need to follow. What are those instructions based on what? The versions that we discussed. For example, if you take any uh, normal programming language like a C, C++, Java, Lua, Smalltalk, whatever, right? Python, they all follow some standard. For example, if you take C, it follows what? ANSI C, Borland C, Turbos, whatever. There are pre-built what you call specifications or standards. Yeah? Similarly, WSDL also follows what? Pre-built spec based on some versions like 1.1, 1.2, whatever. So, but this is driven from markup languages. Yeah, like HTML, GHTML, XML. So, in such cases, we use what? WSDL. Yeah? So, just to summarize, we use it for structure. Just remember that line. Yeah? Now, what is the format that it follows? XML. So, XML is markup. Just now I talked about it. And why do we need to use this WSDL to deal with what? Online service. Online could be primarily driven from web. That's why we call it as what? Web service. Yeah. So let us see what does this web contain and what services that will be offered by any third-party portal application, and how real WSDL would look like, and what are the different properties that will be that can be seen as part of WSDL that we need to understand. Yeah. So yeah, and now look at here, guys. There are multiple type systems. For example, if you go with what? Any programming language, C, C++, Java, right? They also follow what? Its own type system, like a built-in type system or derived type system or custom type system. Built-in means, so any programming language would support what? Integer, float, double, deep float, whatever, right? They're all part of what? Built-in types. And custom is like arrays, vectors, hash table, whatever. They're all part of what? Derived ones, because they're all derived from or they are inherited from basic types or built-in types. So they are the two categories in any programming language. Similarly, in markup also, they should follow what? Some type system, which we call XML schema. Remember that. Sorry. So which means there is a pre-built type, which we call schema. Schema just like a structure, guys, based on what? XML. Yeah. So namespace, which will be used in order to define the scope of this particular operation supported by any standard, it's the HTML, XML, or WSDL, whatever. Same thing in normal programming also, namespace concept is same. There is no change, right? Now the binding, remember guys, bind means what? How do you make multiple services to talk, there has to be a common language to understand. So we use a term protocol. So protocol is a media through which multiple services to talk or multiple applications can interact with each other. Example, SOAP, HTTP, MIME, and so on. But we'll talk about the common protocols that will be understood by third-party applications and Informatica Cloud. Let us stick to them. Remember, guys, there could be a bunch of binding protocols, but we would focus on what Informatica Cloud supports. Remember that. So Informatica Cloud supports what first two protocols, namely SOAP and HTTP. SOAP means Standard Object Access Protocol or Standard Object Adapter Protocol. Both are same, guys. Yeah. So this is a one protocol which in turn contains multiple versions like 1.1, 2.0, like XML we talked about, right? This is
Narasimhan.
from protocol perspective.
Sorry to
Just
interrupt, Narasimhan. Can you please make it large, this PPT below button?
oh, you
Oh,
want to make it slideshow? Huh?
yeah, that full screen. Na?
Okay, let me do that. Yeah.
Thanks.
Is it fine now?
Now it looks good. Thanks.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so we are trying to talk about binding, right? So which means the cloud supports what first two protocols, SOAP and HTTP. So HTTP protocol is most widely used one because most of the external web-based applications they support what HTTP, which is also markup hypertext transfer protocol. So we use it for markup languages. Markup language means like XML or HTML, whatever. Yeah? Just remember. Now, how do they talk? How do they talk means how multiple applications can talk, like Informatica Cloud with external portal application. That's what I meant. So that or they would talk to each other by using what? HTTP request or HTTP response. Request means we can ask for something. Response means what? They'll provide the particular service. That's it. Yeah. But from Informatica Cloud, we are going to, or we can request, or based on the request, we can get the response, or we can post something. Based on what we post, we can get the response, or we can also define parameterized what you call request. Based on that, we can get the response. Likewise, you can think of many permutations and combinations through which we can request and we can get the corresponding response from third party portal application, right? Similarly, same concept holds good even for what? SOAP. So we can have SOAP request and corresponding SOAP response. But they're all applicable if third party application supports what? SOAP protocol, guys, or else we cannot use it. Remember that. Type system, namespace, and protocol. Now let us talk about how the template or structure of WSDL would look like. Structure or descriptor or definition, they're all synonyms, guys. So don't get confused. Yeah? Structure, definition, descriptor, they're all synonyms. Yeah? So they'll be used interoperably based on the context. Remember that, right? Now, let us start with what? Namespace. I just said namespace means what? It defines the scope and visibility. Can you see here? It started with what? Namespace HTTP colon, which means it ended with what? Same thing. See, for every open tag, there'll be clasp and close. So first definition started, definition ended. Type started, type ended. What is the type that will be followed by any markup languages? Schema types we talked about, right? It could be anything. It could be WSDL, DTD, XSD. We can think of many. Yeah. But today we are going to focus on what? WSDL types. Remember that. So next is what message, which is next part of structure, where we can say the kind of properties or attributes or inputs that we could supply. For example, if you take any method, right, method can take some input arguments, yes or no, or it could be dummy arguments. Ultimately, ultimately, if you want to make multiple applications to talk through arguments also, or through messages also, or through parameters also, we can make them to talk to each other. We all know that, right? Like how TCP protocol works. So, for example, host 1, host 2, we supply, how do you make them talk to each other? Some protocol, some through some message or through some argument. Yeah? Example, host name is an argument. Yeah? Likewise, you can think of many. One example is fine. Next is what port operations, what kind of functionality that we expect from another application. For example, FedEx. So we need to obtain what you call tracking status of each item. Or let's say we need to obtain real-time data from stock market, yeah, like NSE, BSE, or NASDAQ, or whatever. So how do you do that? We have to have operations. That's where port will be used for. And binding, I think I talked about it. Protocol, right? Like a SOAP binding or HTTP binding or some other MIME or whatever. But cloud supports first two, SOAP and HTML. Will stick to that. And service means what? Every binding, it will be associated with what? Some port number and corresponding service name. That's it. These are the five or six what we call elements or members within this WSDL structure. Yeah. Out of them, some are optional, like a namespace. If you want, we can have it. If you don't want, we don't. We can skip that. That's optional. Schema type, by default, you will have it. Even that also we can skip, which means let's say we are focusing on have the schema type. We can just adhere to that. Yeah. So, but what are the mandatory ones here? So, one is going to be message, and second is going to be port, which means without operation, do we need any help from third party application? No, right? And protocol. Mainly port and protocol, they are the mandatory inputs. Rest are all, if you want, we can have it. If we don't, we can skip it. That's it. It's as simple as that. Right? Now, types, I think I talked about that. X schema type, first one, right? X schema or XML schema types. Examples you can see, DTD, whatever. Yeah. And then this is a simple example, guys, like how WSL will look like. Well, I'll talk about real example, like how we can make use of real WSDL file to get the data or to post the data from cloud. Both the sides, guys, in the sense we can make or we can send data from Informatica cloud to third-party portal application and vice versa. In the sense, we can also pull the service offered by third-party application. For example, here, trade price request, you can see, right? Yes or no? Then within that, we can see element is what payment. Then what it offers, multiple attributes, right? Account, credit card, whatever, right? So that's it. So main goal here is what? Trade price request. Yeah? So that's what we can see as part of this particular vertical example. Anyway, real example, I'll talk about it. You'll understand much better. Let's focus on the concepts here. Yeah. Message, I think I talked about, right? Yeah. So it's just like a parameter, argument, whatever. Yeah? Just remember that. And then this is example, guys. So guess last trade price input output, just like attributes or parameters or arguments.
So,
That's it.
Narasimha, this is basically XML source system kind of supporting to Informatica Cloud as a source
Exactly.
and target. Okay.
Yeah. So XML format, but the actual name that we use here is what? WSDL, which is Web Service Definition Language. For example, data could be expressed in XML. But to read it, we have to have some structure, right? That we are trying to talk. So in
Okay.
order to read data from XML, right? So we have to have some metadata. What is the metadata? That is supported by Informatica Cloud WSDL. That we are trying to discuss. You got right?
Okay, got it.
So we are trying to focus on metadata. So based on that, data could be in HTML or XML or JSON or whatever. Data could be in different form. But to read that, we have to have metadata. And what this particular metadata contains, that I'm trying to explain here. You got right? Yeah. So input and output, and then ports through which we can make multiple services to talk. You know? So these service could be web service, a thin service, or a thick service, a standalone service, or application driven. It could be anything. What we'll try to emphasize towards web-based service, because if you have some portal where they offer something, we should know how to get it. That is our key focus point. Yeah? Let us try to stress towards that. Yeah? And can you see here some of the examples over here? Guess last traded price. If you take any what is the stock market, right? So we focus on, let us say, last traded price. Based on that, we will try to trade like intraday or personal trading or long-term trading or whatever, right? Yes or no? For example, you want to perform trade for today's business or today's trading business day, right? For example, let's say we place a trade or we buy a trade, and then when you meet your target or whatever, right? Then we'll just sell it. Yeah. That target could be a loss or a profit. That doesn't matter for us. But here we get last traded price, let's say 100. If it reaches, let's say 105, we'll just sell it. If it reaches 95, we'll sell it. That result could be either loss or profit. So such kinds of operations would be handled by using what? This particular operation. It's the actual functionality. Just remember that. This is going to be the mandatory input that is required in order to perform what we call pull and push, which means we can get the data, we can also post it. So that's it. So let us stop here. Then we'll start getting into what actual, what we call capability that is supported by cloud environment. Yeah. So the first thing we need to understand, do we have any freely available third-party services? There are a bunch of services, guys. Let us try to focus on one of the service. That could be a fake service or it could be a normal freely available service. But as a user, we need to know how to talk to that particular service and obtain the facilities offered by that particular service that we are going to understand, right? So let us say we have got a simple service which is offered by W3 schools. Yeah? So let's say web service. Yeah. See, as we have seen in the presentation, right? So we can refer what W3 schools, where we have bunch of freely available not only services, we can also get to see lots of sources. Yeah. Now let us try to focus on the first and foremost thing where we are trying to focus on web service, right? Can you see here in this particular site there are two operations or services supported by this particular W3 schools. So for example, one to another, if you supply one input, you'll get to see the corresponding response. For example, let's say we need to calculate or we need to perform quadratic operation, which is from mathematics, right? Like b square minus 4ac by 2a, right? Square root minus b plus some. We all know that, right? Now the question, let us say that particular service offered by third-party portal application. Now If you supply ABC from the cloud, you should get the response from the relevant web service. That's a question. And second, let us say we supply some number and calculate, let's say, sum of n natural numbers. So, for example, if we say sum 10, we should get 55. Formula n into n plus 1 by 2, right? So, this facility would be offered by third party service. Likewise, you can think of many examples where anybody can offer anything. We as a user or business person need to know how well we could get integrated to third party service and start availing like whatever they offer. So that's going to be the key objective over here. For instance, here, let's say we all know that. So for a given Celsius, we can also get Fahrenheit value or vice versa. There's one more formula here, right? So now the question, as we all know that the binding that we use, like binding protocols, right? So our cloud supports what? Two major protocols like a SOAP and HTTP. I think we talked about, right? So they're the primary protocol. There are a bunch of other protocols, but most of the applications are driven towards SOAP and HTTP. So we'll try to what you call stress towards this protocol because whatever our application supports, right, we'll focus only on that rather than focusing on something else, right? So that's it. Now the question, what we are trying to understand over here, WSDL, right? Now let us see how this particular conversion formula has got the pre-built WSDL, which is structure, right? So we know like what it does. Yes or no? I repeat, we know like what this particular function does, conversion, right? There is a pre-built formula. That's it. It's as simple as that. Like a C equal to A plus B. So we supply A and B. We expect C as a return. That's all, right? So now that part we know it, right? Now let us see what this particular structure contains. To answer that, click on this particular link where we can see like what we discussed as part of theoretical presentation, right? The first thing is what? Namespace. It defines what? Scope and visibility of this particular what you call structure, which is WSDL. And next is what? Types, the schema types. What type it supports here? WSDL. Can you see here? See here. We talked about theoretical. Now we are trying to talk about practical one by one. Remember, guys, first namespace is done, and second is what? Schema type, which is WSDL. Right? Now the next thing is what? Mandate or another parameter we talked about, parameter or argument through which we can send and get the data, right? Based on what we send. For example, we send some ABC to get the result of what this quadratic formula. Yeah, like minus b plus or minus square root of b square minus 4ac by 2a. We all know that, right? In that, we supply A, B, and C from our cloud. Yeah. In this case, we can supply Celsius to get Fahrenheit, or we can supply Fahrenheit to get Celsius. In
So
this
like
case,
it's a name column having multiple value.
exactly. So now can you see here? This is a parameter. This is a functionality. Yeah,
Okay.
what it offers. So if you supply what you call Fahrenheit, will get Celsius response. Similarly, opposite. Yeah. So likewise, you can see what you call n number of parameters and corresponding message. Similarly for SOAP also. That's it, guys. So now we have seen theoretically what WSL would contain, and practically we have seen as part of this particular W3 schools in specific to what? Conversion, which is one to another, Celsius to Fahrenheit or Fahrenheit to Celsius over here. Now the question, how well we could able to make use of this particular W3 schools freely available service within our ISCS. That is going to be the next question, which means let me just open the formula here. Yeah. So now we have just seen the structure, right? Once we have structure, right, we got a method, argument. Once we have it, we can talk. That part is done. Now the next question, we will see actual formula, right? So we all know this particular formula, right? Yes or no? Yeah. So F equal to 9 by 5 into C plus 32. So if you want to get F, we supply what? C, which is Celsius. Result is what? Fahrenheit. Yes or no? We all know that. So now let us see, do we get this response for this formula from this particular cloud environment? Yeah, which is freely available, right? We're just trying to talk about simple one. So same thing could be extended with what? Complex, especially if you take banking industry, right? Where you will have what you call pre-built statistical formulas like to calculate exposure of future demands. Yes or no? In such cases also, we can just supply some input from our application and get the corresponding response. Yeah, fine. Now, let us try to log on to our application. So to do that, supply this link, guys, which is our Informatica cloud. Yeah. Yeah. Meantime, if you have any questions, right, guys, you can start asking them. Yeah.
So do we need to create any connection to connect to this WSDL third-party application, Narasimha?
Yeah. Can you please be a bit
What is
louder,
a connector?
Balaji?
Uh, do we need to create any separate connector to?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So by default, we have cloud supported format WSDL, but yes, we can build what uh, we call it a hierarchical schema structure. We create it through which we can talk to this particular third-party portal. That's a pre-built connector. We already have it, Balaji. But but if you have very complex structure supported by third-party application, in that case, we can also have what we call custom connector. I'll talk about both. Right?
Mhm. So API URLs and WSDL all use same type of connectors, right?
Sorry, say it again.
Even for APIs, connecting to APIs.
Yes,
Uh,
yes. Even for APIs or even for APIs would be based on REST protocol or RESTless protocol, or it could be based on SOAP protocol, HTTP protocol. Right? So they're all will be used by WSDL. Yeah, fine.
mhm. Okay.
Fine.
How do we connect if it is deployed in AWS, Narasimha?
Sorry,
How
Mamata,
do
can
we
you please? Yeah.
how do we connect if it is deployed in AWS?
Yeah, AWS, if you want to talk to, let's say, AWS, right, we need to have AWS connector, right? That's also pre-built as part of a cloud. We can make use of it to talk to AWS. Like we supply credentials like username, password, domain, security, then S3, you know, where this data is located, like Amazon S3. Then try to get the data from the relevant bucket, where you'll have n number of files which are placed in the relevant bucket. Mamata. That way we can pull the data from Amazon. Yeah, got right.
Uh,
Yeah. Yes.
Narasimha,
Any
I
other
have a
question?
question. What is
Yes,
like
sir.
the difference between XSD and WSDL?
Yeah.
Because
WS.
mhm,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
XSD is a scheme, XML schema definition which can be used local as well as web. Yes or no? So WSDL, that's also a definition which is primarily designed for third-party APIs or portal applications, especially to deal with the web services. But That schema could be used even for non-web services also, Ravi. Fine.
Oh, okay, got it, got it.
For example, let us say, so I think you all know this Power Center, right? There is a web services transformation. Yes or no? In that context, we use WSDL. Now let's talk about schema. For example, let's say we need to read the data from local XML, get it transferred to flat file. In that case, we can use XSD. I have just given one simple example where we use XSD, where we use WSDL. Clear, Ravi?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, fine. So now let us try to log in. I think we logged in. Yeah. So let us take this particular data integration. Yeah, there is a pre-built component within this what cloud, which we call business services definition. So through which we can convert third-party WSDL format to Informatica Cloud understandable format. Remember that. Yeah. So see, remember every tool or every what you call application, they will follow their own type system, in the sense their own standard. Remember that. So now if you want to make this particular application or tool to talk to external, right? So we need to bridge between these two. To get there, convert third party format to our own internal understandable format of our own tool and an application. To do that, this particular Informatica Cloud supports what business services definition, through which we can convert third-party portal form to our own form. Remember that, right? So now let us try doing it. Click on new, and can you see components here? Go to components. This is the one, guys. So we need to configure the operations which are driven from WSDL. I think WSDL we have seen, right? Message, operations, binding type, namespace, all that we have seen it. Forget about that. That we understood. Now the question, we need to translate that to the reality that we are trying to do now, right? So to do that, this guy will act as a bridge between our third-party application against with our tool, right? So now let us try to build business service to perform what I call simple conversion, right? Yes or no? Yeah. So let us try doing it. So business service, why? To perform conversion. Conversion is a generic term, guys. It can be used for any kind of formula. Yeah? So whatever need to be done in many mathematical operation, right? So we supply some input, we expect some result. That's all we do, right? That's why I'm trying to use a generic word, which is conversion, right? Now let us go with what? If we already have connections, right? We can make use of it. Or let us say we are trying to understand this from a scratch. In that case, we can just click on new. See, now we are trying to what? Build a connection. That's a connection. We are building it for web service. Yes, on web means what? Portal, right? So how to define a web? Like a portal which will have URL, which is unified resource located, or URI, unified resource identified, or let us say, and that particular URL or URI driven through SOAP binding or HTTP binding. Yes or no? So that's what we can see as part of this particular name. See, wherever we supply the name, right, every word will have what we call a meaning. Remember, guys. So that's what we are trying to make it more meaningful, right? So now let us select. Can you see here? So as Balaji was trying to say, right? So we can use even REST also, but let us say we are trying to focus on WS consumer. Yeah, this is a pre-built what we call connector type supported by Informatica Cloud. This is a practical answer to your question, Balaji. It's a pre-built connector. We already have it. If you have custom, no, this I have added it. This is a custom connector, but that I'll come to that later when we talk about app integration. Yeah, clear, right? So far. So
Yeah.
make sure that every part you understand clearly, guys. Yeah. So now the next thing is what we need to select the agent and then authentication. There are three types of authentications supported by what you call to talk to third party web service. One, token. Second, NTLM. Third, other authentication. Fine. So let us say we are focusing on other authentication. Here, it expects what? We can supply WSDL URL. From where you get to see that, guys? Just now, we have already talked about, right? WSDL. We need
Narsima, I'm hearing so much background noise.
Okay. Oh, background noise. One second. Let me try to make use of. One second. Yeah, now is better, right?
Yes, Narsima, thank you.
Fine. So now let me try to supply the inputs, guys. So we need to supply WSDL input here. Yes or no? So endpoint here also it can be same or different. Let's say we are using same, right? And username and password, as I said theoretically, right? We can talk to third-party web service with authentication, without authentication. So this is freely available service. So we don't need to supply any authentication details, right? That's it. So now we can just say, okay. Yeah, Balaji, you can see, right? I think you were trying to ask that question, right? We need to build a connector. That's what you were trying to say, right? So we are using WS consumer connector, a pre-built one. But if you want custom, no, we can also go with what? REST V1, V2. We got advanced connectors. Through that also we can talk. Balaji, right?
Okay. Thanks, Narsima.
Yeah. So now we have just got WSDL ready. Now what it contains, which is what this particular WSDL contains. So see, we need some functionality, right? So that functionality we can get it from an operation. Operation means actual facility like what it offers, like Celsius to Fahrenheit or Fahrenheit to Celsius. They're the actual functions, right? So click on that. Click on select. Yeah. See, whatever is in WSDL, that same thing we can see it here, nothing else. Yeah. So which means we are not doing any new thing here, guys. So can you see here? So Celsius to Fahrenheit and one more Fahrenheit to Celsius. Same thing we can see it here. Yeah. Can you see here? Fahrenheit, Celsius, Celsius to Fahrenheit. This is HTTP default. Other is based on what? SOAP. That's it. I think as I said earlier, Informatica Cloud supports what? SOAP and HTTP, right? So let us take one and select it. Yeah. So this is a first example we are trying to understand from Informatica Cloud, guys. Yeah. And then say, okay. That's it. And then click on again. Let's say if you want even other also, which is other operation we have, right? Which is Celsius to Fahrenheit. Click on select. We can select even this also. Likewise, whatever third-party portal web service offers, right? We can avail all of them, or we can avail some of them, or one of them, whatever. So that's it, guys. This is the first thing we need to do. This configuration part is optional. We can do it at the time of usage of this particular business service. That's it, guys. Any questions from anybody? Now we've just configured a bridge between third-party web service with Informatica Cloud. That's all. Through that bridge, we can make Informatica Cloud to talk to what? Third-party web service. Remember, guys? Yes or no?
Yeah, Nasimha,
Yes, please.
this now you imported the XSDL, right? So later this XSD file also you will show local XSD file.
XSD, I'm going to talk. Like when to choose XSD, I'll talk about at least 2-3 examples, like how to use XSD to perform this kind of operations. Huh? Ravi?
Oh, fine.
Fine? Yes. So, like WHL, I talked about today, right? Same way, I'll talk about XSD theory, like how it works theoretically. Then, practical, I'll talk about how the XSD would look like practically and what kind of XSD that we are going to use to perform like conversion, hierarchy to relational, relational to hierarchy, or even portal application, whatever. I'll talk about many more. Yeah. So we just started, right? Yeah. Okay, Ravi. Fine. So now that we understood like how to create a business service definition based on WSDL web service or web service, third-party web service, right? Now we need to get that functionality to Informatica Cloud. Only we just define what bridge only. Now use this bridge to talk. To talk, one way is what? We can build a mapping where we can use one transformation, which we call a web services transformation, like you guys would have done in Power Center, right? This is similar to that. Yeah? So let us build a mapping. So where we are going to make use of web service transformation. Clear, no? I repeat, we are going to make use of web services transformation. Now, let us try to focus on this web services only. Source, target, straightforward. Yeah? Because we are trying to understand how to make Informatica Cloud talk to external application. Right? For that, we need to understand web services transformation. Right? So now incoming, we have not connected. It will be empty. Let's not care about that. Now go to web service. Here, can you see here? We already configured business service definition because that is going to be the prerequisite for web services transformation. That's why we have already done. So we can just select and start getting it referred. Yeah. So where did we created, guys? So we can see that. We can just go back and see in Explore, right? Team extract. Yeah. Say business services. Yeah. Can you see here? So we have got there is another one. So we can also go to default project. Wherever you want, we can place it, guys. It's not mandatory that it should be under dev, extract, whatever. See here we kept it in a default project. You can place it wherever you want. Or else we can also create our own project, our own folder. Under that, we can place this particular definition. Anything can be done. Yeah? Fine. Now
So,
let us say,
Is it possible we can copy from here to our
some other folder. Yeah, just like a folder copy or file copy to some other folder. Yeah, like in here Power Center also we did cost manager, right? We can create a folder. We can have n number of meta or elements like mappings or workflows or source definition, target definition. And we can copy from one folder to other folder. Yes, sir. Similarly, same concept holds good here. Yeah. So that's it. Now let us try to what you call select the business service definition. Yeah. So that's what we created, right? January 21. Yeah. So and then select it. That's your time. Huh? Yeah. Now once you select, right, whatever functions we have, right, we could able to see it here. Yes or no? Yeah. Like we have Fahrenheit to Celsius, Celsius to Fahrenheit. Yes or no? Let's say we select one. Yeah. So which means we supply Fahrenheit as an input. We expect Celsius as a return, a response. Now request mapping. So from the source, we need to supply what I call Fahrenheit as input. Now we need to focus on source part. Till this, is it clear, guys? Yes or no?
yes.
Yeah.
So in that case, the services are already defined. So we have to just make sure that we have a source mapping and
Exactly.
request
That we
mapping
need to
and
do.
response. Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Okay. So
For
for
that, first we need to get.
every,
Yeah.
okay. For every
Go ahead.
WSDL's request, so we will have functions defined already.
Exactly. All right. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So let us just from source, we can get this source data from relational table or even XML, or it could be simple flat file, it could be yeah, whatever. Source could be from anywhere, right? Yes or no? That we are going to do now. Yeah. Yeah. So let us try to what you call configure that. So let's restore this. Now we have got a source, right? Now let us go to source. So now let us say we have got source data in some location. Example, C drive source location. Yeah. Yeah, there's a source, right? We have got multiple files here. Let's say we are going to pick one of them, yeah, which is seq1 .txt. Yes or no? Let's take out this. So we got only this data. Clear, no? Now let's say we can map one column data. Let's say one. One is going to be the Fahrenheit value. You got right. For that we should get Celsius. Similarly, all other rows 4, 7, 1, whatever, right? That's what we are going to do. Clear, right? So now let us get this file. Yeah. So we can create a new connection, assuming that we are trying to do everything end to end, guys. Yeah. So though we have existing connection, let's say we are not using it. Yeah. Let's say from web connection, I'll put here we are using this source connection, web source connection. Hmm. For web, we are trying to use source connection, which is source file connection. You can put. Right. So that's it for dealing with the web. Yeah. Now let us take as a flat file we are dealing, right? And then runtime environment. Let's say this what up and running, right? Then supply the location where we have got this particular data. That's it. Now test it. This is just like a what flat file connector through which we can get the data from a flat file, which is similar to what we do in Power Center, right? Like source definition. So source definition plus in session properties we configure source path, source file name. That is similar to that. Yeah. So this is connection is successful, right? Yes or no? So that's it. Now we can supply the file name. We have given only directory, right? Now we need to supply the file. Yeah. So let's go to select and supply the file name here. Yes or no? seq1.txt and say OK. That's it. Now we can see preview data. See whatever you have seen in the text file, does it appear here or not? See, it's there, right? 147, whatever. One is empty. Clear, guys? See, each and every point we are trying to understand from the scratch, guys. I'm not talking about anything in between. Remember this. See, here our goal is to make Informatica Cloud to talk to third-party web service. To do that, we are trying to talk about everything. We started with the concept of WSDL. Then we have seen how the WSDL will look like. Then we configure business service definition. Then to talk, we have used web service transformation, where we just referred business service definition. Now we are trying to supply the input to that particular web service transformation to get the job done. So that's what we are trying to focus now. Yes or no? Using flat file.
You have
Clear,
three
right?
columns, right? C1, C2, C3. So
Yes.
which one you're trying to convert to
That we can
Celsius?
map. Whatever you want, you can just map. Let's say C1 will
Okay.
map it. Ravi? Yeah,
Okay. So yeah, this is the random data. Okay. Got it.
exactly. It's a random. Now we got fields, as you said, right? There are 3 fields here. So whatever you want, you can just map it to what, let's say, Fahrenheit value. Now, usually we supply numeric values, right? Yes, sir. Even if you supply string, also will convert implicit conversion, it happens. But let us try to be explicit. So we need to modify metadata. For that, go to options and select what? Edit metadata. Here, we can change the type from string to what? Integer. Clear, right? Let's say we are focusing on C1 column. So C1 will be taken as input to the web service. Clear, right? So we don't need to change others. Whatever is required, we are trying to focus only on that. It's very, very specific. Let us not talk about the ones which are not required, right? So that's it. So now we need to map it. Source data is ready, right? Yes or no? We got the data, we have seen in preview, and we have seen like whatever port that is required. C1 column, right? We change it. All that done. Now we can see whether web service is ready or not. It is ready. Now request mapping. As I said earlier, if you use either SOAP protocol or HTTP protocol, right? We need to have what? HTTP request, HTTP response, or SOAP request, SOAP response. So to simulate that, Informatica Cloud uses what? Request mapping, which is equal to what? HTTP request. So what we are trying to request here, by supplying what you call message, which is a parameter. So which is what? C1. Clear, guys? Through parameters, we can make multiple services or multiple applications to talk to each other. So what is the parameter that we are using here? Fahrenheit. Clear, no? Yes or no? So
So, Natak, did you just click on C1? That's where the green tick came, or you just drag it to the Fahrenheit?
drag and drop.
Okay.
Fine. Yeah.
Mm.
So now, clear, guys? To everyone. So this is a structure. From where you got this thing, guys? WSDL. Yes or no? Yes or no? WSDL, we converted the business service definition. That will be understood by Informatica Cloud. That is done. So this structure has come from BSD, which is business service definition, which in turn we got it from WSDL. That's it. Now we mapped. Now for a given input, we should get the response. That's where we need to go to what? Response mapping. Clear, guys? So now we can see here, click on this root element where we can say map all descendants, which is all the downstream elements and corresponding ports or attributes. See here, all have come in. If we expand here, so we have got a header has come in. We got a response, which is Fahrenheit to Celsius response. So you'll get to see the result of this method, which is operation, will be stored in this particular out parameter, which is Fahrenheit to Celsius result. So that is where on the right side we can see this. Clear, right? Actual function is what? Response function. Who is going to execute this? Who is going to execute this? Web service. Within web service, where do you send this? In WSDL, we saw this function, right? That we executed. Then you'll get the conversion done. If you supply Fahrenheit, right, you'll get a Celsius. Result of that should be stored here. That's the output field. This is going to be the output field. Now the question, if something goes wrong, we need to have a tracking mechanism, right? Or capturing errors or faults or exceptions. So in this particular web services transformation, it supports what? Fault group, where we can see what is the code, why it faulted, and corresponding reason and detail. That we can see. So there are two output groups. One, normal output group, where you will see conversion result, and other one, in case if something goes wrong, we can capture that. Clear, guys, to everyone? Yes or no? Then we can see output fields in two groups, right? This is a normal, this is fault group. I hope it is clear. That's all about web services transformation configuration. If you have any questions,
Nasim, yeah, I have a question. So
Yeah.
you're reading it from text, okay? So you are using WSDL for conversion, processing the data, okay, to Celsius. So what is your
Yes, yeah.
output here? Is it
Response. If we
response?
for a
So
given Fahrenheit, you'll get a Celsius value.
right, the response has to be stored somewhere, or you don't need,
Yes,
because the response
we are
has,
storing in
okay,
here Fahrenheit to Celsius result. This is the output. That's how we mapped it.
output.
This is where you will have it. Yeah. And now, if you go to
Oh,
output fields, right,
okay.
you can see that this is where we store it.
Okay. Is it stored it as directory, or is it going to store that what location? What is the
It's a
location?
field.
It's a
It's a
field.
field.
Okay.
No. But where we store output of that can be mapped to any other target that we are going to see. See, we got the
Oh, okay.
result
That's
of web
what my
service,
question is. Yeah. Got it.
intermediate variable. Now we can
Yeah.
map
This
this
is
to
only a
some
processing result, right? So once the
exactly.
result, we have the result, we want to store it in a target. So that,
Yeah,
okay.
target could be anywhere, table or file, whatever. That's a different story. Yeah. Yeah. Clear, Ravi?
Okay,
And
Nasim.
others. Yeah, perfect.
Asima, just one more question.
Yes,
So
please.
the WSDL, right? So for example, you just take another example, right? So I'm fetching some address, some customer address information. So say
Hmm.
for example, some 100 customers data, address data. Okay. So in that case, maybe I need to pull out of 100 only some around 10 to 20 customers data from
Yeah.
that. So how can we filter out such kind of records
Yeah.
using
It's
the
very simple. I
WSDL?
got the question. Balaji?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Example, let us say there are 100 customers and every customer has got their own address. Yes or no? And every
Yeah.
customer can be identified in unique way by using what? Customer ID or customer number or SSL number. Yes or no? Whatever. Now,
Correct.
what we do from web service, we supply either customer ID or customer number or SSL number. Yes or no? For this
Yeah.
particular input, then we'll expect what? The address for each customer. Let's say if you supply 1, 2, 3, let's say that's the SSL number. That corresponding address it is going to put. The same thing we are trying to do here. So here also we are supplying some foreign hit value. We get a corresponding response. So all SSN numbers, you will have it as part of our file. Like in this case, we are taking file as input, right? Yes or no, Balaji? Yeah. First record,
Correct.
SSN number, then you'll get a corresponding address. Second record, second customer SSN number, then you'll get a corresponding address from web service. Likewise, you can supply these numbers from input and get the corresponding response from respect to web service, Balaji.
Oh, okay, okay. Got it.
You
But
got
we
right?
need to set some data to search with
Exactly.
website.
See, we need to
Yeah.
supply some input, right? For example, let's take another example. Let's say we need to keep track of items, Balaji. Yeah. So
Mhm.
whether based on the status, we can get the delivery status and to which address it got delivered. Let us take that example. In that case,
Mhm.
what we need to supply, there will be a tracking number for every item, right? Yes or no?
Ah,
So we
okay, yes.
separate tracking number, and once you separate tracking number, right? So from that we'll get the status. Is it in transit or delivered, or it is still not started up? Whatever, all the statuses we have it.
Correct.
Once it is delivered, no, you can see complete address like to where, what is the shipping address? Yes or no? The
Yes,
complete
yes, yes.
address you can see in the result. Yeah. In that case,
Yeah.
tracking number is going to be the input, same as
Input.
SSL number here. Got no?
Got it, got it. Yeah, thank you very much.
Fine. Now let us configure what target. So target could be anything, guys. So again, could be file table, whatever. Yeah. So let us create a separate target because we are trying to understand everything, guys. So everything we are doing it from the scratch. Yeah. Let us say target, or we'll put web target. Web target file connection. Correct, no? So that's it. So file here. Then I'd say again we are using file and agent, then directory C colon target. That's it. These formats and pre-built. Anyway, we are not worried about this. We'll talk about when the context comes in. So then test it. Connection successful. So, okay.
Narsima, can we select table instead of flat file?
Yes, we can, but we need to again configure that database connection. I'll talk about that database stuff in a separate session. Then we'll use that as a source or target, Mamata. Right?
Oh, okay, okay.
Fine. Because I need to talk about ODBC or JDBC or native drivers. I need to talk about that concept. Then where do you define this driver details, and where do you define jar file, and where to place an agent side. That's a lengthy procedure. I need to talk about that. After that, we can start using database stuff. Fine.
That's totally fine. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
One question I
So
have,
now,
Nasima. One question.
yes, please. Yeah.
Because I saw you explicitly defining that as integer, right? So in Power Center, we try to do like conversion of two underscore integer, those kind of stuff. Are they possible here also instead
Yeah,
of
very much.
explicit? Okay.
Yeah, just to answer question in one line, Ravi, whatever can be done in Power Center, all of them can be done in IACS. That is done.
Okay.
Plus,
So we
I'll talk
can
about
read it
plus.
as a string and then convert to integer and then
Yeah.
map it to,
Now we got
okay, got.
multiple functions. We use expression transformation, right? You can do that. That anyway we have it.
Oh,
So I
okay,
just
okay. So
one
that
generic line we
that
can
has
make.
to be through expression transmission, not in
Exactly.
the web
Yeah,
services transmission. Okay.
exactly. Yeah. So yeah, just to make it one line, right? This is superset of Power Center. You see, whatever Power Center supports, right? It supports plus extra things. What are those
Okay,
extra
got
things?
it.
Like we have got a templates, we got a task, we got external API integrity, we got lots of things that we are going to focus on. Yeah, fine. So fine. Now supply the target name. So web service underscore tzt. Yeah. Dot text. Clear, no? That's it. So we can specify clearly, which is what we are trying to do. Fahrenheit to Celsius, F2C, right? That's all. So that's it, guys, about end-to-end coverage of this web services part. Based on WSDL only I talked about it today. It is failed. It's invalid, right? Let us see why it is invalid. So it is not mapped, right? We can see, go to, there is a validate button here. You can click on that. Then one or more targets are not reachable because we have not connected. Let us connect it. So let's say we are using envelope group. That's why we have got our output, right? We can also add one more, what you call, target here. This is normal target. And one more is going to be fault, where we can capture faults, right? Second group. Clear, no? So that's it. Now, let us try to configure this. Let's use the same thing, like whatever we created connection, right? Which is we are trying to select existing connection now and supply the file name. Yeah. So let's say we supply web, which is a service, yeah, web service fault or faults.txt. Fine. So that's it. Yeah. Now we can supply the mapping name. So by default, there'll be running mapping name. Same thing as Power Center. Mapping underscore web service. Yeah. Based on WSDL. Right. So save it. There, guys, it is saved in which location? Default. That's a default project we saw, right? But we can also what you call save it in some other location. We can create a project. Probably I'll show it later. They are simple ones. Now, I think before we run, right? If anybody has got any questions, right? Please try to shoot out, guys.
So, so here we have 10 records from the source, right? So how many web
Yes.
service calls will be made? Is it 10 or single call?
Single call with multiple operations invocation. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. For example, I think you all know like how unconnected lookup works, right? It's exactly similar to that. So do we make multiple times that lookup? Because let's say we make a call from expression transformation to lookup. Was one time only we call, put it in the cache and supply the inputs. Things will be taken care. Same concept holds good here. Authority. Yeah. Yeah. If you try to make n number of times, right? We can do that also, but it's not
Black
optimal.
black screen is coming, Narasimha. I think.
Oh, because I have not shared it.
Oh,
You can
So
see,
is
right?
it row by row or bulk conversion, Narasimha?
Yeah. What I was trying to talk about bulk. Row by row can process, but it will be slow because to and fro too many operations, right? So it has to send a request for every row, then execute the response, execute operation, get the response. It will take a lot of time. So that is it. Get bulk data as input, then process it within cloud space, which is Informatica cloud space, then get the job done. That's where we use a term caching, right? Yes or no? So bulk data, we get it, put in a cache, and perform operation. That's what happens. So row wise also we can execute it, but we need to change that buffer size and cache size so that row wise also we can get it executed. Yeah.
So in this case, one request, multiple response.
Yes. So yes, one request, multiple response. One request means one request will have multiple rows.
Yeah.
First row and then executed, second row execute, and so all of them will happen within a cache. Yeah. Fine. Clear, right? Method, is it clear?
Yes, Narasimha.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, fine. So now let us try to what executed. Yeah, we are executing. Before that, if you have any questions, right, ask, guys. We can discuss. Anyway, we can discuss even after execution also. So let us run it. Can you see right agent you need to select? I have two agents installed here. So this is up and running. So I'm using that. And actually, there is a lot of depth, guys. If you ask questions, right, I'll try to elaborate it. If you don't ask, right, I will not be able to cover that much. Remember that. So based on the questions, I can explain with examples.
Narasimha, like in Power Center, our cache is limited, right? We define the space ahead of time. Okay, you can use this much cache. But with the cloud, is it elastic? Like it increases based on the records processed, or do we have to define the cache size here also?
Yes, same thing. See, with respect to what debugging settings and optimal settings, right? They're same as that. There is no change. Like a buffer size, DTM buffer size, or cache size, or scratch disk,
Okay.
or whatever, right? All of them we take care here also. Same thing. There is no change.
Okay.
Yeah, fine. So now let us try to look at the response. It is still under the process of execution. Remember, guys, usually if you want to make multiple applications to talk to each other, right, it would take bare minimal amount of time, irrespective of the number of rows that we process. Remember that. Even if you want to process one row also, it would take bare minimal time because it has to establish connectivity, right? So there is going to be startup overhead, which includes establishing connectivity and spawning corresponding threads. So that would require bare minimal time. Yeah. So after that, execution time or production time would come in. Yeah. That's where actual time that this particular web service is going to take to get the data processed. Yeah, we all know that, right?
Narasimha, you are directly running the mapping. So
Right.
there is no concept of workload or workflow session in cloud.
Yes, it's there.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah. So, Bharat, to answer that question, right? Yes. So by default, what this particular cloud does is it is going to convert mapping to what a mapping task, which is equivalent to session task in Power Center. Bharat. Yeah. That's a
Okay.
default behavior. But if you want to create explicit session task or mapping task, right, we can also get it created. That's what reality we do it. But anyway, I'm going to show that. Yeah.
Okay.
Also, Narasimha, like, can you elaborate on this agent thing? So, like, you have two agents configured, and what are these agents about, and what is the purpose of having multiple agents in IICS?
Hello?
I think we lost him. I think.
Oh, okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I think Narasimha. We lost Narasimha, I guess,
Mm.
and also a bunch of people. Okay.
Oh, God. Narasimha left the meeting.
I think we need to drop off.
I do not know. I mean, he may join again. Just wait for a few minutes. Yeah, he joined.
Yeah, he's joining back, I guess.
Oh, sorry, guys. There was some network problem. I've just reconnected with some other network. Yeah, sorry for that. So let me share it. I think you all could able to hear me, right?
Yes, we are Narasimha.
Yeah. So let me share it again. Yeah. Fine. So there's a disconnect happened, right? So you got the answer, right, Bhakta? So we can run. Sorry, Bharat. You can run it. Once you run it, it's going to convert that to what mapping task and get it executed. That's a default behavior here. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So fine. There's a network disconnect. See, it's already completed earlier run, right? 5 rows of second time we are trying to run. Yeah. 5 rows already processed. Yeah. So likewise, you can run n number of times. Remember, yeah. And we can see statistics here. Click on the previous instance where we can see instance ID means run ID. First time we executed, right? Yes or no? And in that we got 4 rows as input. We got 5 as input. Sorry, 5 as output. Why? Because there's one empty, right? As part of input data.
Yes. One
There
column,
is
one empty.
exactly, you are right. Yeah. Like you can see, right? Last, this is fifth record. It's empty. That's why it is skipped. So for rest of the 5 rows, we got the result. We will see whether we got the right result or not by running the input data with a formula, so that you'll understand everything, right? Yes or no? Yeah. So that's it, guys. These are statistics and all successes of 5. And we can also see session log. Bharat, can you see here? It is going to
Yes.
generate the session log, or we can also say mapping task log. Both are same, guys. Mapping task equivalent term in Power Center is what session log. There are some misleading terms. We have to live with that, guys. That's what they have done it. So Yeah, this is the one. And here you can see, right? So source 5 rows and target, sorry, source 6 rows, target 5 rows. Yeah. So that's what we can
Where
see.
for another one row, that is header and
No, empty. One got
okay,
skipped.
empty.
Yeah, empty did not process. Like we can see here. Yeah, total
Did it go
one,
to
two,
fault
four.
group?
Sorry. Yeah, exactly. It will be fault. So which means this is not processed, and 5 they got processed. Yes, they'll be part of fault. Yeah, empty, right? In fault also will be
Okay.
empty only. Yeah? So that's it.
Could you open that fault file and
Yeah,
show
I'm going
us
to
like
open that. So this is clear, right? Session log part. Yes. Now let us see. That's a source, right? Now let us see in the target. Yeah? Target. Go to see target folder, right? Yes, this is what we give. See, this is a normal target. No, this is a fault, which is empty. Yeah, yeah. This is empty. Can you see here? Fault code, fault string. Because empty, there's only empty line is there. Yeah. Yeah.
okay
Now let us
that
look at the result in normal target, guys, where we can see the conversion data. Yeah? Header is empty because we did not map anything. Yes or no? Did we map anything in the header, guys? No, right? Let's go to the web service. So every part we all need to understand, guys. Remember, yeah. If you try to look at this structure, can you see here? Did we map anything to header? Nothing, right? That is why,
No.
yeah, that is why it is empty. Yes or no? Now next is what? Fahrenheit to Celsius result. So that's going to be the output port. Where do you see that? So in output fields, we can see under envelope Fahrenheit to Celsius result. Yes or no? So that
Mhm.
we can see as part of second. Rest are all what? Input column C1, C2, C3. That's okay. Header part is the columns part, right? Now the next question. How we got this particular minus 17.2? That's a question mark, right? Yes or no? Yeah. So to answer that, we can just go to formula and open this calculation. See, we need we supplied Fahrenheit, right? We expect what? Celsius. Yeah? And we can just type Fahrenheit to Celsius, right? Yeah. Celsius formula, right? So this is a formula. Let's try to apply this. So open F minus 32 calculator. Yeah. So now let us apply. What is the formula here? F minus 32. F is like the first one is 1, right? Yes or no? 1 minus 32. Yeah. So then we have 5 by 9. Yeah? Into 5 divided by 9. See, we got minus 17.22 whatever. So we got the same result in the target, right? Yes or no? Clear, guys?
Yes.
Yes or no? So that's it. Same thing will be repeated for other rows. So I think we have done understanding of this particular integration of
okay
third-party web service to this Informatica cloud and what supply input, what comes in, what goes out, how it works, result, all that we have understood end to end. Yes or no?
yes Narasimha. That null value in the source, right? It didn't go
Mhm.
to the fault record, right? So it just skipped it.
All
Yeah. So
it
what
is
is
it's
the
empty.
purpose of yeah okay
Yeah, actually it should throw some error. The reason it's the empty
mm.
data, whatever, right? That's what you are expecting,
Mm.
right? Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought okay that yeah. So fault file, right?
Mhm.
Does it give out the whole record there, or because if there is a fault?
Yes, if there is a valid fault, right? Like for example, let's say there is a improper inputs. You supply string as input instead of what
Yeah.
null as input instead of, let's say, numeric
Okay.
values. In that case, you'll get
Can we try
appropriate.
that now, Narasimha?
Yeah.
Let's put
Yeah.
instead of null value there, and so we'll put
Yes.
A or B there.
Yes, we'll try that. Yeah. Before that, any questions from anybody, guys?
Yes, if there is a more than one null value, how will identify which value is that for, which row is that?
Yes, Raymond, can please repeat? Come closer to the mic and speak out.
Well, if there is a more than one null value in there, like
Mhm.
2 or 3 record row are null, then how
For
we
every
can
row, you'll have
identify?
corresponding reason why it got failed. Like, for
Right.
example, see,
But my
rejection
question
concept,
is,
right? Reason for rejection, right? So if you have 3 records where there is a null, no, you'll have 3 rejected records. First record, 1 rejection, second record, second rejection, third record, third rejection, right?
okay.
But the reason will be same only.
No,
But we
reason
need
will
to
be
capture
same,
for
but my
every
question
record,
is,
right?
how I identify which row is that? Is it a first
Ah,
row, second row, or third row?
oh, that's a good question. So for that, yes, we need to maintain what you call sequence ID separately, Raymond. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
But you'll have corresponding data also, right? For example, in our case, we have got anyway data, right? For every row, you'll have the data also. 1, 2, 3, whatever, right? Similar for fault, reason for rejection, right? Rejected record also, you'll have a data. The first column
Right.
data, second column, third column data. From that fields we can identify, or we can also generate unique IDs, Raymond, for every row to identify every row, right? So in that way also we can take care. So one of these we can identify with the pre-built data, or we can also have our own custom way to identify by building unique IDs for every row. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Fine. So that's all, guys. So we'll continue from it tomorrow because I have another session at 8:30. So yeah. So if any questions, right, we can discuss tomorrow. Yeah. I'll talk about this fault thing also tomorrow, Ravi, because I have some other session now. Is that okay?
Okay, fine.
Fine. Yeah. Thank you very
Thank you.
much to everyone, guys. We'll meet
Okay. Thank
tomorrow
you.
at the same time. Yeah. And bye
Thank
tomorrow.
you.
Thanks all.
Yeah.